Good morning again. The next installment of our exciting GHRSST session will commence in 2 minutes, so if you're not seated, please move to your seats. Okay, thank you everyone for returning promptly. And in the second part of the session, we're going to have 3 more science talks. The first from Neeraj, 8-year-long sea surface temperature data from the Indian geostationary satellite INSAT-3R being evaluated over the Indian Ocean region. So we'll wave these at you at the appropriate times.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Neeraj.
Thank you, and good morning to all. I am Neeraj Agarwal from the Space Application Center, and I'm going to talk today on the 8-year-old long time series from the INSAT-3DR, basically. And so this is basically, this was a satellite, geostationary satellite that was launched in 2016. There were some issues with the black body calibration. And so the data was, recently reprocessed. And here you can see my colleagues, Jishad, Rishi, and Pradeep. Rishi and Pradeep are, they are veterans for sea surface temperature. They are the developers, basically, and they are science team members of the GHRSST. I became the science team member a couple of years back. So mainly I'm a user of sea surface temperature, and Jishad is basically beginning to learn about the retrieval techniques. And he's also a task team member for the intercomparison team. So basically, Rishi and Pradeep reprocessed this entire data set since it was launched. And they did the G6 correction on the data, and then also some bias corrections to produce this data set again. And now this data set basically is operationally also available on our ISRO portal since 2022, and we are in process of uploading the previous data as well. So from 2022, everything is fine. So the data is getting generated in real time and with all bias corrections. So I'll be basically talking about this data and how it is performing as far as the capturing the interannual variability modes in the Indian Ocean. So this is how my talk would proceed. I'll be talking about what are the sensors basically in INSAT-3DR, and then I'll show one slide on the retrieval method and how it compares with the in situ after applying those corrections. And then I'll talk about the data which I have used for comparison and then the study domain. And then I'll talk about the interannual variability, and then I'll summarize and talk about way forward. So basically, this is the 3DR satellite, which was launched in 2017, and it has 6-channel imager. So the table shows the specifications. So we have used the TIR1 and TIR2 channels for retrieving the sea surface temperature. And this satellite gives the image at every 30-minute interval. And on the right, I'm showing basically one example of the sea surface temperature map for 1st January 2025. So this is basically showing the coverage of the satellite. It's encompassing the entire Indian Ocean region. And these products are available at the portal mosdac.gov.in. So this is basically the retrieval technique that has been used in addition to the nonlinear regression algorithm. We are also using the 1D VAR technique. So basically Rishi and Thapliyal, they are expert and they have done all the retrieval. So I'm not going to go into the detail of the retrieval technique. And what I would show on the right hand side is the a validation plot with the matchup data with IQAM. So what we are seeing now is that there is a slight cool bias in the sea surface temperature of around 0.3 K, and that is also in the high SST values. So this is the current status. So what I have done, I have, although the data is available from 2017 till the current date, but I have compared it with the optimal interpolated sea surface temperature, which I have used up to June 2023. So what I have done is that I have made the data monthly average and remapped it on the OASST grid, which is 25 kilometer by 25 kilometer. And on the right hand side, I'm showing you the domains, subdomains where I've carried out the analysis. Basically, these are the domains, the 5 degree by 5 degree domain in the Arabian Sea, then the Bay of Bengal, and the eastern and the western equatorial Indian Ocean, and in the southern part of the Indian Ocean. So these are the subdomains where we have carried out the analysis. And also we have compared the dominant mode, that is the Indian Ocean dipole mode, which occurs in the Arabian Sea. So I have computed the dipole mode index, which is basically the difference of the anomalies between the eastern and the western tropical Indian Ocean. So this is one plot which shows the mean sea surface temperature for the entire 7-year period. So you can say that the large scale patterns, especially the warm pool region, which is basically around the Indian Peninsular region. So that is captured nicely, and the patterns are all picked up correctly. However, there are certain biases in the northwestern Arabian Sea region, as you can see here, and there are positive biases here and negative biases in the central Indian Ocean region. So there's some kind of pattern in the bias, and we are looking into it, that what would have caused these biases. One reason could be, means in the last few days I've heard that there are certain errors in the SST due to the aerosol effect. I'm not sure whether that is causing these biases, but yeah, there are certain high biases in the northwestern Arabian Sea region. And this is the standard deviation or the variance for the entire 7-year period that you are showing. So although the tropical this equatorial Indian Ocean region is quite warm, but the variability here is very less, so it remains warm there. The highest variability regions are these regions, the northwestern Arabian Sea, the northern Bay of Bengal, and obviously these regions. So these variabilities are, the patterns are nicely picked up, but as I've shown previously, there are certain differences in the magnitudes, but the variance patterns are now clearly picked up in this particular product. So these are the different regions which I showed in the boxes in my previous slides. So I'm showing here the histograms of the SST values in those regions, and most of the subdomains, the histograms are matching. However, there are certain discrepancies. Specifically in the Arabian Sea, you have a secondary peak in the OISST values, which is not captured by the INSAT 3D RSST, and of course it is coming here in the Western Equatorial Indian Ocean. In the entire Indian Ocean, if I see, so both the peaks are, histogram peaks are matching in these regions. Coming on to the time series in all those domains. So the time series are nicely picked up especially in the Arabian Sea, where you have a clear bimodal peak during 1 year, and also in the Bay of Bengal. So the peak, so these time series are matching. However, there are discrepancies in the eastern equatorial Indian Ocean region, where these and also to a certain extent in the Bay of Bengal region, there are certain biases, large biases, maybe due to the cloud effect, because these regions are mostly cloudy, and so we are still, looking at why these biases are occurring, and yeah. Now coming on to the interannual variability, what we did is that we computed the anomalies with respect to the 7-year mean data that we analyzed from both OISST as well as from the INSAT 3DR, and then we subtracted the data and got the anomaly. So, dipole during the positive phase of dipole, you get a negative anomaly in the eastern tropical Indian Ocean and a positive anomaly in the western tropical Indian Ocean. So what you can see is that again the patterns of the dipole are nicely picked up in INSAT 3R, but the magnitudes are quite underestimated in the positive anomaly case. So here you can see since the magnitudes are weak in INSAT 3DR anomalies, and also in the northwestern Arabian Sea we have a problem over here. So this is basically 2019, where where the Indian Ocean experienced a strong positive phase of Indian Ocean dipole. And then you have the other phase of the Indian Ocean dipole, which is the negative phase, which occurred in 2022. So here also you can see that the anomalies are underestimated. Since the positive anomalies are underestimated and negative anomalies are slightly overestimated, and in these regions there are some problems. And this is basically the dipole mode index, the time series, basically the difference between the anomalies of the western and the eastern equatorial Indian Ocean region. So it shows that the time series of the DMI from INSAT 3DR is matching in phase basically with the OISST DMI, and it is able to capture the major events, both the positive and the negative phases of the Indian Ocean dipole. So I would like to summarize here by saying that, okay, the large scale features from INSAT 3DR, which is reprocessed now, are matching well with the standard observations. And now our effort is basically to include, there was another geostationary satellite, INSAT 3D, which was launched in 2013. So we have the data from INSAT 3D from 2013 till 24. It stopped working in 24. INSAT 3R, which is from 2016, and it is still going on, and INSAT 3DS, which was launched last year and hope to continue for many years ahead. So we'd like to combine these data sets to generate a consistent time series, and more importantly, make available these data sets to the GHRSST community by converting these data in the GHRSST format. So for that, actually, we need to do some work. Basically, one important component in generating the GHRSST format data is to compute the error estimates, the SSES. So I'm looking forward for any sort of help from the GHRSST community to get to understand how these things are done. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for such a clear talk and for keeping to time so nicely. The second presentation of the session is from Rubèn, and he will be talking about exploring atmospheric drivers during marine heatwave events in the Mediterranean, so quite complementary to some of the talks we've had already.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rubèn. I come from Barcelona, from the Marine Science Institute, and it's been my first guest. I would like to thank everyone. It's been so nice so far. And I'm sorry, I will not be talking exactly about atmospheric drivers during my heat waves. When I was preparing the presentation, I realized that I spent so much time exploring about the difficulties this extreme event has in its definition. So I thought I might as well use these 15 minutes to explore these difficulties and share my point of view with you and discuss it. I'll be pleased if anyone wanted really hard to talk about atmospheric drivers. I'm sorry. I'm willing to have a drink with you and discuss about the topic. But as I was saying, let's begin with the beginning. This is the third time we talk about Hopte today. He must be getting chills where he is right now. He provided the definition we're using right now back in 2016 for marine heat waves. And let's break this down a little, because the actual tricky part in the definition is about the anomalously warm. How do you compute these anomalies? Well, he provides us with a formula to compute the seasonal climatology based on a 30-year baseline. And the key here is the 19th percentile usage of as a threshold. So just a month ago, Catherine Smith published this article talking about the importance of the baseline. Depending on the baseline you're using, if it's fixed or trended, the results you get are obviously different. So for example, when you're using a fixed baseline, you're interested in a certain temperature. As yesterday we were talking about the coral reef watch, today Anna also provided some useful insights for this. But if we're interested in the internal mechanisms of our system that may trigger these marine heat waves, we might be considering using a detrended baseline, which helps us separating these short-term extreme, these peaks of anomalies from the climate trend, which we all know that is positive. The real question here is, this was a month ago. We've been using Hopte's definition for almost 10 years. So what has happened since? Well, Catherine also in this article I'm mentioning is doing a survey of the first 100 most relevant results in Google Scholar search on marine heat waves, and concludes that most studies exploring changes in marine heat waves characteristics over time and examining event attribution have used a fixed baseline. So what conclusions do they get? Intensity, duration, and numbers, they are all increasing. This has become some sort of a motto in the community, which is actually dangerous. But when you use this as a motto, you sometimes forget what you're talking about and where it comes from. To put some examples, last August, Copernicus was launching the Ocean State Report, and you can see exactly this. Over the past few decades, marine heat waves in the Northeast Atlantic and adjacent seas grew in strength, occur more often, stretch farther, and last longer. They were even surprised by the fact that can be a marine heat wave during winter, which actually is giving us the idea on marine heat waves definition. Also, in the last summary for policymakers of the IPCC, they were talking specifically about marine heat waves and not just heat waves in general. If you just control plus F there, you'll find this. They are very confident, and they are the doubling in the frequency since 1980s, and that this will continue, as well as with the intensity. To put just some other examples, others have gained lots of citations using this motto, and I guess funding just doesn't come without doing somehow, and it's no longer a surprise anymore why we're using a fixed baseline here, right? But I was interested in the atmosphere and how it was playing a role in the marine heat waves during, in Mediterranean Sea. So I explored some and found this article about atmospheric heat waves and marine heat waves from Francisco Pastor. He provides with a great methodology, adding to the HOPDAYS definition, which is to consider also only those events that are 5% or bigger than the regional coverage considered, which is the Mediterranean Sea. The blobs that we were seeing before in Anna's presentation are kind of the thing that we were searching here. Just consider these big events and not consider specific points. And they get some interesting conclusions. They find that concurrent marine heat waves and atmospheric heat wave events, it was atmospheric heat wave events that were significantly intensifying marine heat waves, which is what I was searching for. Another conclusion is that marine heat waves in the Mediterranean have become more frequent, intense, and long-lasting. Damn it, they were using a fixed baseline too. So a colleague back in ICM, Jose Martinez, in collaboration with some people here, already demonstrated, as we saw before, if you do the distributions of the SST, you will obviously find, if you're not using a determined baseline, that any SST, even if it's not considered a marine heat wave, can easily fall in that 90% threshold and then be considered a marine heat wave. So why not just do the trending ourselves and see what happens with the metrics? We will use ERA5 because for some reason is the most used data set for this, and compute the marine heat wave and atmospheric heat wave metrics. We will also use the Francisco Pastor methodology, I said, using considering the 5% events. And we will compare these results with another data set, which will be ESA CCI-SST satellite observations. Okay. So let me first break this down for you.